Okay, Assalamualaikum, good morning. We'll continue with our topic 4 today, capital market. So I hope you all can hear me and see the slide. Kalau tak nampak atau tak dengar, please let me know. This is also a lengthy topic and we will spend 2 weeks on this capital market topic. Right. So under this capital market, we have two elements which are equity and also bond market. So we focus on equity for today and we'll continue with bond market next week. Right, because last week we have explored money market. So you all have understand what does it mean by money market, who are the money market participants, what are the money market instruments, and we focus actually on the short-term market. So for capital market, this is actually a long-term market. So when we talk about capital market, we are actually talking about the equity, the share, the stock, and also the bond. Because last week we talked about money market tools, which are buying and selling of the currency plus the forex, right? Okay, so when we talk about equity market, right, so this is nothing new for you. We are looking at the common stock, especially common stock, because I skipped the preference shares part. Common stock, so in the US textbook, they refer this as common stock, but in UK or Malaysian textbook, sometimes they refer common stock as ordinary shares. And in Malaysia, we use the term as ordinary shares, but it can be used interchangeably, the ordinary shares and also the common stock. And also the bond market. That's why I said both elements here are actually for the long-term market and not the short-term market. The short-term market we already covered last week. Okay, so a bit on the role of capital market, right? So this is important because not only you have to understand the money market and the role, the participants, you also have to understand the capital market and the role of capital market, for example. So in this case, we have economy, equity funding through venture capital in Nasdaq market. So later we are going to look at what does it mean by Nasdaq market. We also have small medium enterprise, the equity funding through second board and also Nasdaq market. The privatization and infrastructure projects, and these are the role of capital market for bonds through private debt securities, equity financing. And also we have Islamic capital market, the availability of Sharia compliant debt, securities, warrants, and also call warrants. So I will share with you later whereby we can actually screen when we want to invest in certain types of stocks, we can actually screen whether they are Sharia compliant or not. So for example, when we talk about gambling companies, for example, kita ada Berjaya Group kan, so dia ada banyak business but including the sports toto 4D tu. So itu is considered as non-Sharia compliant because the business activities that is involved. And then, for example, Carlsberg, it is an alcohol industry, so itu pun bukan Sharia compliant securities. So later, when we go to Bursa Malaysia later, we can look at how can we screen the Sharia compliant debt and securities and also the non-Sharia debts and securities, right? So that is why we have this Islamic capital market here. All right, so these are a bit of some of the differences between money market and capital market. So this is what we learned last week. So the purpose of money market is actually to rapidly adjust the liquidity position. Okay, so we talk about liquidity when we did money market. But for capital market, it is it serves as a link between surplus and deficit. Okay, and then the secondary market for money market is very strong. Okay, and the capital market is rather weak, considered volatile, and the volume of transaction for money market is considered high, but the capital market is low. Oh, I missed this part tadi. Okay. All right. So again, capital market is the market for raising long-term funds. All right. So as compared to money market is a short-term fund, and it is comprised of two types of market here, equity and also a bond market. Right. So whenever you we learn about equity market, so we are talking about stocks and shares. with no maturity period. So that's the difference between equity and also bond. So for bond, it has a maturity period and it is usually more than 1 year. So that is why we call this capital market as a long-term market. Laju sangat slide tadi pergi. So the purpose of capital market, before we look at the role, we have to understand the purpose of capital market. So it is actually the process of economic development, mobilizing medium and long-term funds to private investment and finance development and finance public development programs to help banking system in securitizing their assets. They are also provide functions as intermediary services whereby they promote private enterprise to raise funds for corporate investment and also for expansion. So later we are going to look at how these corporate or these companies can actually raise funds for their expansion and for their investment, right? So these are the role of the capital market. All right, so we were here just now. All right, and then the default risk for money market is lower compared to money capital market, which is higher. And the different ataupun the importance participants or the different financial institutions for money market is central bank and commercial bank. But for capital market is a wide variety of financial institutions because it includes investment banks as well. The volume of financial instruments, money market is quite low, but capital market, the volume is high. All right, so let's look at the first one, which is the equity market. Okay, so again, it is a long-term risk investment with potential for growth. Right, so for example, when we invest in certain companies, when you buy, contohnya kita beli saham TNB katakan, so it is a long-term investment. It can be considered as long-term investment whereby you have a potential for capital growth. When the share price of TNB increase and you want to sell, that will give you some kind of profit, okay? Or if you keep, you can get the profit in terms of dividend, right? And it represents part ownership. Now, that is why when you buy certain company shares, you will be called as their shareholder, right? So you own the company, part of the ownership is owned by the investor. Right, so as owner, we entitled to portion of company's profit through dividend. For example, like I said, you beli saham TNB tadi, and you keep for 6 months, for 1 year, you keep. When you keep, the company get a profit and they will pay back the profit in terms of dividend to the shareholders. Right, and also dia bukan janji bulan bintang je lah. If they make profit, they give you dividends. If they don't, if they make losses, so you don't have any, you won't get any dividend. And if they get wind up, they bankrupt, kita lah the shareholders ni, the common stock shareholders ni lah yang paling last kali akan dapat the portion of the capital, and sometimes tak dapat pun, right? So we share not only the profit but also the failure of the business. And the types of shares, okay, I think this one pun you all ada yang dah pernah dengar if you learn a bit on the financial accounting or financial reporting especially. So this is like what I said before, in Malaysia kita guna term ordinary shares. In the financial statement tu, even you go to your bank's financial statement kan, you can see bawah tu dia ada ordinary shares. But it can be used as common stock as well. So certain textbook they refer as common stock. Even kita dekat Malaysia, walaupun the financial statement mentioned as ordinary shares, when you want to involve in the trading, they refer that as a stock. So samalah stock share samalah. So we have ordinary shares and preference shares, or common stock and preferred stock. Okay, so both sama masuk lah, ordinary shares, common stock, or preference shares and preferred stock. All right, a bit on the background. Okay, this is the background of our capital market in Malaysia. So it started back in 1970s, 1973, whereby we have KLSE, Kuala Lumpur Stock Exchange. Tak tahu lah pernah dengar ke tak. Bursa Malaysia used to be called KLSE, Kuala Lumpur Stock Exchange. So it is an incorporated company, and KLSE was listed in Stock Exchange of Singapore those days lah. And then when we move on to 1980s, there are a lot of privatization happen. And then they come up with KLCE, Kuala Lumpur Commodity Exchange, the first future exchange in Southeast Asia masa ni. And 1990, delisting of Malaysian companies from SCS and Singapore incorporated companies from KLSE. So in 1995, there's an introduction of KL Options and Financial Futures Exchange. Ni pun dah tak ada kan, ni nama lama dia lah, CLOFI ni. And then 1995, kita ada MME. 1998, KLSE and MME merged to become Commodity and Monetary Exchange of Malaysia, COMEX ni. Inilah masanya kita ada MASTEC. So MASTEC stands for Malaysian Exchange for Securities Dealing and Automatic Quotation. If you wonder, kat depan dia ada seletak MASTEC kan. So this is the nama penuh dia lah. Malaysian Exchange for Securities Dealing and Automatic Quotation. To promote the development of high growth and technology companies. High growth and technology companies, IT companies pun duduk kat sini lah. And then the CLOFI becomes a subsidiary of KLSE. So 2001, dia merge pula lagi to become Malaysian Derivative Exchange Berhad MDEX pula. And 2001-2002, MASTEC joined KLSE Group. Panjang dia punya sejarah dia. And then in 2005, kita ada Bursa listed on main board of Bursa Malaysia Securities Berhad. Okay, so all Malaysia's capital market institution brought under one umbrella, which is KLSE lah. And the name change to Bursa Malaysia. So now we call our stock exchange as Bursa Malaysia. Alright, next one is the regulatory bodies. Right, this is also important participants. We call them as regulatory bodies who actually govern the capital market in Malaysia. Okay, so they actually govern, they actually manage, and also they provide rules to our capital market. First one is Securities Commission. Next we have CCM. Also known as Registrar of Company, Suruhanjaya Syarikat Malaysia. We have Bursa Malaysia Securities Berhad, the licensing officer, which is the Ministry of Finance, and also Foreign Investment Committee, right? So let's look at the first one where we have Securities Commission. Alright, so Securities Commission ni dekat Bukit Kiara ini logo dia ada kat sini juga. So who live nearby boleh nampak lah the SC ni, Securities Commission. So they actually manage everything about securities market in Malaysia. So established in 1993, and they report directly to the Ministry of Finance and table accounts to the Parliament annually. Alright, so 9 members. Ini dalam membership board dia lah. Executive Chairman, Deputy Chief Executive, Representative of the private sector, and also representative of the government. And they act as a single body that regulates and promotes the development of capital market. So capital market yang tadi again kita dah tengok kat depan, capital market is equity and also bond. So nak raise capital ke nak issue shares, nak whatever yang scam apa semua kita dengar tu so SC ni akan jagalah. So if you approach by someone, okay, telling you, okay, invest lah dalam ni. You give us 10,000 ringgit dalam masa seminggu, you dapat balik 20,000 ringgit. Okay, 100% return. Too good to be true. If you get something which is too good to be true, biasanya scam lah tu Those days kita memang ada banyak scam ni, they collect duit daripada orang, which is kita dah tengok kan the function kan, nak solicit money from orang ni, hanya bank or financial institution je boleh buat. We cannot simply take money from the public So this so-called company yang scam ni dia buat lah, tunjuk lah that they are very, you know, they invest in overseas contohnya, so they need your money now, so you pay them 10,000 ringgit for example, and you get the return in 1 week time, in 2 weeks time and then sometimes you have to recruit pula orang bawahan kan untuk buat juga the same thing. So some of the investment kita kata approach tu are actually a scam It is not legal pun, dia tak berdaftar pun. Dan bila pergi raid, pergi tengok office sudah kena kunci, so ramailah investors yang kena tipu So this is the function of SC, dia akan oversee semua ni lah dia promote the development of the capital market, dia jaga, dia regulate Okay, so these are the functions of Securities Commission. Okay, number one, like I said, promote and maintain fair, efficient, secure and transparent securities and future market, and to facilitate the orderly development of innovative and competitive capital market. Right, so dia bagi license and all supervising all licensed persons. So in your case, you all nanti at the end of your study nanti you will sit for module 7 exam, and insyaAllah you will get the RFP membership. So that membership, even though given by MFPC, the license ni dikeluarkan oleh SC juga. You want to be a certified financial planner contohnya, so the license datang dari SC and also Bank Negara lah. Alright, so SC supervise exchange, clearinghouse and central depositories, development of the capital market, regulate all matters relating to unit trust schemes, regulate all matters relating to securities and futures contract. We will learn about futures contract juga nanti masa kita buat derivative nanti. And also regulate the takeover and mergers of company. Okay, merger can sometimes be not pretty lah, kan gaduh sana gaduh sini to merge the company, orang tu tak setuju, orang ni tak setuju. So for mergers and acquisition pun SC yang take care of. Next is Bursa. Okay, ni logo dia. And then when we look at the regulatory bodies, this is actually a good place for you to expand your career. You can go apply for internship dekat Securities Commission, dekat Bursa pun boleh. And then you can continue there. So it is a very good place to start. Not only to start, to end your career pun bagus tempat ni sangat. Because this is actually what we do, kan. You understand the functions, you understand how the capital market works. So this is a good place for you to start. Bursa, okay. Cuma the competition is sangat stiff lah, because they have their own students, kan. Dia bagi scholarship juga. Macam Bursa ni ada Bursa Scholars. Dia hantar pergi overseas and whatnot. Alright, and then for Bursa Malaysia, okay, nama lama dia KLSE, Kuala Lumpur Stock Exchange. It is an exchange holding company approved under the Section 15 of the Capital Market and Service Act 2007. Okay, Bursa Malaysia Berhad, okay, exchange holding company consisting of several subsidiaries. Later kita tengok subsidiary yang sangat banyak tu. And under the purview of the SC and the Ministry of Finance. So tadi SC report directly to Ministry of Finance. Bursa dia report dekat SC dan dia report dekat Ministry of Finance. It is an exchange. Kita kata exchange. Kalau Bursa, that's why kalau you tengok nama New York Stock Exchange, London Stock Exchange, dia pakai stock exchange. It is tempat untuk kita exchange stock lah, in other words, kan. Tapi kita Malaysia, kita tukar daripada KLSE jadi Bursa Malaysia. Exchange that provides facilities for both retail and institution investors. Alright, retail means the public lah, you and me, individual. Institutional investor ni is institution lah. Kita dah tengok masa topik 1 hari tu, kan. We have, for example, tabung haji, EPF, so they are considered as institutional investors. Okay, to buy and sell securities. Not only for you to buy and also to sell. And the financial products may include shares of public listed companies. Public listed company ni semua company yang belakang dia ada Berhad, ni semua pun dah tahulah kot. Loan stock, debenture stocks, warrants and also bonds. Kalau dekat overseas you can see PLC, kan, XYZ PLC. PLC tu public limited company lah. Macam kita kat Malaysia, public limited company namanya Berhad. Private limited company kita sendirian Berhad. So Bursa ni dia jaga yang Berhad je lah. Alright, so this is the structure. Dia report ke Ministry of Finance. So Bursa dekat sini. Atas sekali is Ministry of Finance lah. Kita ada Tengku Zafrul kat sini, kan. And then bawah dia ada SC. SC report ke sini. And then Bursa.
You'll need to unlock your iPhone first.
Diamlah Siri. Sorry. Bursa, and then Bursa report to SC and SC report to Ministry of Finance. So here kita ada Labuan Financial Services Authority. So this Labuan ni offshore market. Kita tengok nanti lepas ni. And then so these are the subsidiaries of Bursa Malaysia. We have Bursa Malaysia Securities, Bursa Malaysia Derivatives. Setiap satu komponen tu dia ada satu yang jaga. Securities, Derivatives, Depository, Bonds, Derivative Clearing, Securities Clearing. So dekat Labuan ni kita ada Labuan International Financial Exchange, LFX. Okay, so these are the structure. Regulatory structure lah, maknanya dia report dekat mana. Okay. Here comes the details of the subsidiaries of Bursa Malaysia. So, we have securities tadi, apa yang dia buat ialah operate and maintain a securities exchange. Kita ada derivative. Derivative dia jaga futures and options exchange. Derivative clearing, dia adalah clearing house lah untuk futures and option exchange. LFX ni, Labuan, maintain offshore financial exchange. Securities clearing, okay, kalau tadi clearing security kat sini, ini ialah clearing house for the securities exchange. Depository, they maintain central depository. And depository nominees, okay, dia receive securities on deposit or for safe custody. Yang ni yang ni safe custody lah, dia jadi nominees. Bursa Malaysia Information Sendirian Berhad, apa kerja dia is to disseminate price and other information relating to securities quoted on exchange. And then we have Bursa Malaysia Bonds, nama dia pun bond, so they maintain bond lah, electronic platform for the bond market. And Islamic Services, Islamic Services ni maintain syariah compliant commodity trading platform. So very structured, setiap satu tu dia ada the subsidiary and also the function. Alright, what do we have in Bursa Malaysia? Okay, because this is kita kata the mother of the exchange in Malaysia. So Bursa, dalam dia ada banyak subsidiaries, and then dalam Bursa ni kita ada market, main market, ACE market and lead market. Kalau kita tengok dulu in under Bursa kita sebut sebagai main board, second board. Now not anymore. Starting 2009 it becomes main market because they merge the main board and also the second board. And how do they actually determine the main market and ACE market? It is actually based on the market capitalization lah, big company ataupun tidak, based on the profit and also the assets dia. For you, in order for the company to be placed in main market or ACE market. So dulu macam ada lain kategori kan, main board tu lagi hebat, turun bawah dia ada second board. So now tak ada, dia combine the main board and second board. They have one listing requirements for main market. So whichever companies that can fulfill the criteria. Contohnya you have to show show profit, tak salah saya, for 5 years in a row. You have to have certain amount of asset, baru boleh list dalam main market. So ACE market is a revamp of Nasdaq ni. So ACE market ni is actually for macam tadi lah kita kata untuk knowledge company, high growth and technology related. So IT company semua duduk kat dalam ACE market ni. And the third market is, this is recently je lah, 2017. We have another market, lead market. Lead ni stand for Leading Entrepreneur Accelerator Platform. Kalau ACE, ni so ini dah lama ACE dengan main market. So the new one is lead market, launched in 2017. So it is advisor driven market which aims to provide emerging companies including SME with greater fundraising access and visibility to the capital market. Tapi okay, kalau main dengan ACE tadi, you and me, so, the public boleh invest dalam main and ACE market ni, but for lead market ni tak, only for sophisticated investors. So who are these sophisticated investor ni? Dengar macam wow, sophisticated investor, who are they? Boleh klik pula. Alright, so let me show you who are the sophisticated investors and the so-called sophisticated investors. Alright, so these are the example of sophisticated investors whereby we have one, they call it, this is updated as at July 2021, ini list baru lah. Accredited investors, okay, accredited investors are actually unit trust scheme, PRS, bank negara, licensed person or a registered person, holding company, corporation, company lah ataupun bank negara, Islamic bank, a bank, CEO or director, closed end fund approved by the commission. Commission is Securities Commission, dia guna nama commission dekat sini. Okay, or high net worth entity, company yang duit banyak ni, registered as a trust company under Trust Companies Act ni, ataupun a corporation which is a public company, but has asset under its management exceeding 10 million ringgit or its equivalent in foreign currencies. Baru you could be considered as sophisticated investor. High net worth entity, so entity we're talking about the company lah. And it can also be, panjang dia punya list kat sini, high net worth individual. Individu je. Ni tadi company high net worth entity, now individu, you sangat kaya. Individual whose total net personal asset equivalent in foreign currencies, dia kata exceeding 3 million ringgit. Tak adalah banyak sangat 3 million High net worth. So more than 3 million, you will be considered as sophisticated investor. Gross annual income exceeding 300,000 ringgit. Jointly with his or her spouse has a gross annual income exceeding 400,000 ringgit. Orang-orang ni bolehlah invest dalam lead market tu Whose net personal investment portfolio exceeding 1 million ringgit or is equivalent. So individual salah satu yang fulfill this criteria, you can invest in lead market because you are considered as high net worth individuals or high net worth entities or accredited investor. Okay, so this is what they mean lah by sophisticated investor. Right. So these are the functions of Bursa, right? To regulate and maintain facilities for conducting the business of a stock exchange in Malaysia, to continually promote and develop capital market and protect interest and welfare of members. Macam tadilah saya kata sama macam SC juga, Bursa ni dia akan protect lah whether the investment tu betul ke tak ke And then to continually promote or to consistently strive towards higher standards to ensure transparent, fair and orderly market by instituting a policy of market surveillance and corporate disclosure. Okay, to provide and enact listing requirements and enforcement of rules on listed companies. So like I said, the listing requirements is very tough. You cannot simply, any company cannot simply apply to get listed on the Bursa. Okay, so they have a very specific and rigid listing requirements. And once you get listed and then let's say 2-3 tahun lepas tu you perform bad, you can be delisted. Dia kata listed kan, listed, kita get listed lah. And kalau tak bagus, you will be delisted. Let's say 2-3 tahun asyik buat loss je kan, making loss je, macam nak bankrupt je, and then they will be get delisted, keluarkan daripada list tu. To offer internationally competitive securities and derivatives products and also services. So I think I can show you this one. Sekejap. Okay. Right. So this is Bursa Malaysia website. Alright. So kita boleh tahulah this is the market information, equity index, bond, derivative, syariah complex, equity price, the market statistic ada, market data ada, announcement ada, and then trade okay, securities market, derivative market, Islamic market, LFX, semua kat sini lah. And then our products. Kita sekarang tengah tengok equity Okay, so kat sini lah ada equity. You want to know more about equity, klik lah dekat sini So equity, sekarang kita tengah tengok on equity Dia kata 2 types of shares traded on Bursa, ordinary shares and also preference shares. Nampak? The term used is ordinary share and preference share. Shares are also commonly referred to as stock. Right? So if you get confused, apa ni share lah, stock lah, sama je lah. And then the listing. Why Bursa Malaysia, your listing destination, listing criteria to get listed. Okay, so if ada market yang seeking for listing in Malaysia, main market, standard lah, quality, size, operation. They have achieved minimum profit track record or minimum size measured by market capitalization. So adalah dia punya ni So ni summary dia. Kalau nak list dalam main market, ni lah ada dia. You have to follow primary listing of local and foreign companies. Dia ada quantitative criteria, qualitative criteria, additional criteria for foreign companies. Foreign companies can also get listed in Malaysia, in Bursa Malaysia, tapi dia adalah additional criteria. This is the listing for ACE market, listing for local and foreign. Sama juga, dia ada quantitative criteria, dia ada qualitative criteria. So kita boleh tengoklah katakanlah the quantitative, numbers kan. This one for mana? Main market. Okay. Uninterrupted profit. Maksudnya kena profit sentiasa lah 3 to 5 full financial years. Aggregated after tax profit at least 20 million. If you make profit sikit-sikit je, you cannot go for listing dekat Bursa lah. Okay. Market capitalization test. Infrastructure project. Public spread. Bumi Putra equity 50%. Kita tengok kualitatif dia pula. Core business dia, majority ownership and management control, management continuity and capability, financial position, moratorium of shares, banyak lah Nah, nampak dekat sini type of investor, LIP ni sophisticated investors only. Ni boleh public, ini pun boleh public. Saya kata tadi lah, main market and ACE market kita boleh beli but not LIP market. LIP market is only for sophisticated investors. Okay. Special purpose acquisition, tak ada apalah. So these are the criteria dia lah So this is the numbers yang tadi tu, the qualitative factor. Fees and charges, macam-macam lah. Regulation pun ada dalam ni Regulatory committee siapa, about Bursa, semua ada dalam ni. Career pun ada. So nanti you nak pergi internship boleh lah tengok dia ada graduate talent program, protege program, internship pun ada. So you can try lah nanti you baru semester 5 kan. Ni dia dah cerita. Internship program dia. Apply now. Klik. Right, so let's go back to our slide. Any question tak so far? Ada soalan?
So far tak ada, madam.
Okay, alright. So next one, again about Bursa juga. So we have indexes. Okay, this is how we measure the performance of the company. Okay, the performance of the stock exchange. So index or average is a form of measurement of the performance of a particular stock market. It is an indication of how well is the market, whether it is bullish or bearish. Okay, so this is the term used untuk stock market, bull ataupun bear. Siapa tahu mana satu naik, mana satu turun?
Bullish naik, bearish
bull
turun.
naik, bearish turun Okay. So the index is the current price behavior of a representative group of stocks in relation to a base value set an earlier point in time. So kita ada index, macam orang punya index lah kan, CGPA tu kira index that is your academic performance. And then kalau dekat universiti kita tengok CGPA lah for the academic performance And then average, arithmetic average price behavior of a representative group of stocks at a given point of time. So ini ialah average, ini ialah price behavior Okay, besides as a form of measurement of performance, the index can be used also as a benchmark to measure a portfolio's performance, to forecast future market behavior of a particular stock market. Right, example of index or average yang ada globally ni, we have Dow Jones Industrial Average, ni US Nikkei Index, DAX, S&P Index, Hang Seng Index. Okay, kita ada juga FTSE 100, FTSE ini is Financial Times. Tapi sebut dia FTSE saya dah tulis dah dekat sini, sebut dia FTSE, Financial Times Stock Exchange 100. Maksudnya top 100 companies in the UK. FTSE ni UK punya So top 100, kalau kita kata FTSE 100 itu adalah top 100 company in the UK. So for example kita ada dalam FTSE ni you all yang tengok bola tahulah Barclays Tengok British Premier League kan? Kita tak tengok. Barclays is a bank. So kalau FTSE 100 kat UK ni kita ada Barclays, kita ada British American Tobacco, pernah dengar kan? Kita ada Burberry. Ini saya baru tengok hari itulah the list dia. Kita ada Burberry, kita juga ada GlaxoSmithKline, ini produk pharmaceutical ubat-ubat ni. GlaxoSmithKline. Okay, so these are the example of FTSE 100 companies. Kita ada Singapore Straits Times Index, Seoul Composite Index, Sydney's All Ordinary Index and many more to measure the performance dia. Alright. Tadi overseas punya. What about Malaysia? Malaysia Index. Okay, Bursa Malaysia Index ni specialnya Bursa ni dia join FTSE Group. Dia join FTSE Group, dia join forces in 2006 to get the market data. Why they join to the FTSE Group ni? Because we want an international standard. Buat standard sendiri mungkin Bursa Malaysia punya index kan apa ni kan. So they merge, they join with FTSE. Tapi nak join dengan FTSE ni pun is very hard because we have to demonstrate certain quality barulah dia kata okay boleh, we can join and give you the index. So kita boleh kata our Bursa Malaysia Index ni is actually internationally recognized. It is designed to represent the performance of companies, right? Providing investor with a comprehensive and complementary set of indexes which measure the performance of the major capital and industry segments. So in this case, all Malaysian companies listed on the Bursa Malaysia main market and ACE market, they are eligible for inclusion. Boleh masuk dalam Bursa Malaysia FTSE Index ni. Subject to meeting FTSE's international standards. So this is what why I say it is internationally recognized. Sebab nak meet the FTSE punya apa ni standard tu pun macam very hard Saya pening-pening sikit hari ni. I get my booster injection yesterday So balik semalam macam okay, petang tu macam okay lagi. Bangun pagi ni pening sikit. Okay, and tangan sebelah sakit. Okay, dah cerita lain pula dah lah record Okay, so again for all Malaysian companies, they are eligible for inclusion subject to meeting the international standards, liquidity and also investability. Alright, so kita ada FTSE Bursa Malaysia nama dia. Okay, index methodology, so it allows investors to do cross-border analysis and comparison because why? We use the international standards, so it is easy for anyone to compare, to provide transparencies to the management of the index series. So this index it covers all stock size within the market and provides the investor with a better tool to benchmark their investment. So it's very good for us Malaysia to have an internationally recognized index kan, bukan index short sendiri lah. So kalau let's say you nak pergi invest certain countries, alamak, okay ke performance dia kan, so we don't know. Here if we have certain number then we know because this is Bursa Malaysia joint force with FTSE Alright, so in Malaysia, Bursa Malaysia Index ni kita ada FTSE Bursa Malaysia KLCI dia panggil, KL Composite Index. Alright, so from now on you can pay better attention to all the business news, kalau ada business discussion so that you can understand better. When they say FTSE Bursa Malaysia KLCI, what does it mean? When they say FTSE Bursa Malaysia Top 100, what does it mean? Kita juga ada FTSE Bursa Mid 70. Okay. We started off with FTSE Bursa Malaysia Top 100 Index, which means top 100 companies in Malaysia. Dalam top 100 ni kita ada top 30 pula. Top 30 dia panggil KLCI. Ni cream of the cream ada 100, top 30 tu KLCI, Composite Index. Then the remaining 70 dia masuk dalam Bursa Malaysia Mid 70 Index. Okay. And then dalam ni juga kita ada FTSE Bursa Malaysia Emas Index. Kita ada small cap index. So adalah the definition dia untuk setiap satu ni. This is for ACE market. Ni main market main market ni semua index dalam main market. Dalam ACE market dia ada satu index je lah, FTSE Bursa Malaysia ACE Index. But ingat tadi ACE ni is actually for technology company kan, for high tech company. So dia duduk kat sini, dia ada satu index. Dalam ni ada macam-macam. Ada industri, ada consumer product, ada retail, ada macam-macam dalam ni. High tech kat sini. So from here we have also FTSE Bursa Malaysia Emas Industry Index. Okay, ni ada lagi thematic index adalah emas syariah ni dan juga palm oil plantation index. So FTSE Asia Pacific pun ada juga satu index Sebab kita pegang palm oil Malaysia, so the crude palm oil price tu, CPO price tu ikut harga Malaysia. That's why kita ada FTSE Bursa Malaysia Asian Palm Oil Plantation Index. Dalam US dan juga Malaysia Ringgit. So that is why kita kata investors ada comprehensive set of data. So if they want to invest in Malaysia, they are confident because kita ada banyak index yang memang internationally recognized. Okay, so there is no issue for foreign investment lah. Alright, so kita tengok yang paling penting dekat sini whereby we have the FTSE Bursa Malaysia, FBM FTSE Bursa Malaysia Kuala Lumpur Composite Index tadilah. KLCI tadi ni. Okay, main performance indicator of the stock market. So KLCI ni dia ada 30 stock in the main board of Bursa Malaysia. So 30 tadi again this is referring to the largest company in Malaysia. Can you name one or two? Anyone? Yang you terfikir kalau sebut top 30 company in Malaysia, company apa yang come to your mind dulu?
Berjaya.
Berjaya tak masuk 30 kot. Top Glove saya tak sure masuk dekat top 30 ke tak. Tapi dalam 100 lah. Lagi? Any company yang you terfikir? Any stocks? Petronas.
Nestle.
Apa? Maxis, yes. Petronas, Maxis, Axiata, Sandam, Maybank. Itu semua top 30 in Malaysia. Nestle. Then you can Google lah. TNB, DG, Hong Leong Bank, RHB Bank, CIMB. Itu semua top 30 kita lah kalau dekat Malaysia. So kita ada top 100 juga. Dan kalau tadi top 100 tu, the top 30 bawah dia kita ada mid 70 lah. The next 70 counters dia panggil. So they call it counter. So company besar lah kita kata company with a greater number of shares. So ni macam tadi lah saya sebut tadi kita ada top 100 companies or top 30. And then how do they become top 100 ni? So kriteria untuk masuk sebagai top 100 companies ni, satu, the activities or main business of a company has substantial contribution to the economy. So, kita ada telecommunication, kita ada bank, kita ada Petronas kan. Itu semua yang contribute substantially to the economy. Large market capitalization, total asset dia besar, annual volume, and the newly listed company must be traded at least 3 months. Nak masuk dalam ni. And Bursa Malaysia will ensure that only the holding company be taken into consideration for the calculation and not the subsidiaries. Okay. Sekejap saya tengok. I think I still have the list of the top 100 companies tu. Let's see. Kita ada banyak by market cap, by ranking. Ini will rank. Panjang pula. Okay, I share with you this one. Okay. So this is Malaysian top companies as at September 1st, 2021. Maybank, Public Bank, TNB, IAH Healthcare, healthcare pun tinggi CIMB, Hong Leong, bank banyak lah, Axiata, Maxis, DG, Top Glove, 10. MISC ni MISC is shipping kalau tak salah saya. Marine ada, marine transportation. Shipping lah. IOI, KL Kepong, Telekom, PPB Group, Hong Leong, Genting Malaysia, Petronas, Linas. Oh, Linas masuk dalam ni. Okay, dah berapa dah? RHB, Samdabi, Dialog Group, Okay, LCC, Fraser and Neef. This is FNN Nama panjang FNN tu is Fraser and Neef. Beverage. AMMB. Bank Okay, cukup lah tu. So ini kalau based on apa tadi dia letak top companies list by market cap lah. Market value Okay. So this is the calculation of Bursa Malaysia Composite Index. Macam mana dia kira how do they come up with the composite index? So this is the computation dia. Aggregate market value on current date. Let's say you want the date, contoh date nak hari ni lah. Hari ni 19 kan, set to date. Aggregate market value on current data divided by aggregate market value on base date, awal tahun ke contohnya, times 100. So how do we get the aggregate market value? So this is the formula Market price times number of shares outstanding. So lagi tinggi harga pasaran saham dia, harga saham dia, lagi tinggilah the aggregate market value. Okay. So brokerage firms, these are the broker are intermediaries, okay, between the client and the operations of the exchange. And then, all right, type of market, okay. We are still focusing on equity. Kita belum tengok bond lagi, masih lagi equity, masih lagi shares. So we have a primary market and also secondary market. So what does it mean by primary market? Okay, primary market is where securities are created. The first time it is created. Secondary market, securities traded are not issued by the issuer but by another investor. Primary market ni where the companies will issue stocks or bond to the public for the first time. Mula-mula sekali the first time dia nak terbitkan saham dia, it is called a primary market and the process is called IPO, initial public offering, whereby this company they issue prospectus. Prospectus ni macam brochure lah, brochure about the company profit dia apa, berapa banyak, apa business dia So this is the primary market. The first time they issue shares, once the share is already traded, then dia masuk dekat secondary market. Ini company tu sendiri terbitkan Bila masuk secondary market, kita dah tak involve the company dah. Kita involve dengan other investor je. That is why secondary market is a market of previously issued securities. So di bursa tu, trading tadi tu is actually the secondary market. Primary market tak masuk bursa lagi. Prospectus je, dia tak masuk dalam listing tadi yang top 100 whatever tu tak ada. Itu secondary market lah. The trading of the share dekat secondary market. Here the issuer does not receive the proceeds but goes to the current owner. So needs an organized securities exchange that facilitates the transaction of outstanding securities and provides continuous pricing of securities. So we need bursa dekat sini untuk secondary market kita. Right, contoh tadi saya kata you beli shares TNB kan, beli hari ni. Tunggu harga naik, besok jual. Besok jual. So besok jual is another investor yang beli. So another investor pula beli dan tunggu harga naik, dia jual lagi. So dia dalam market tu lah, dalam bursa exchange lah, dalam bursa Malaysia ni, is the secondary market. So kita sesama investors je kat dalam ni yang jual beli the shares Alright. Next one is IPO Ini ialah primary market tadi lah. IPO, initial public offering, is an invitation to public. Come public, buy our shares. We want to go public. So company bersendirian berhad, dia nak pergi jadi berhad, dia kena ada IPO Offers part of its securities to the public to be listed in an exchange. So dia nak pergi listed dekat main market contohnya, dia kena buat IPO. Daripada sendirian berhad, dia nak jadi berhad. So why this sendirian berhad company go for public listing? Number one is to raise fund for business expansion. So as we all know, sendirian berhad company, the kita kata investor very limited up to 20 sahaja. So dalam 20 orang, all the capital apa semua datang dari this 20 je. But if they want to expand the business, dia nak beli equipment lagi, dia nak merge dengan another company, ataupun dia nak set up company overseas, they need more funds. In order for them to get more funds, bila they go for IPO ni, share dia dah pergi kat public kan, so public boleh beli share dia. So they go for IPO. Or they might have existing debts, they want to settle their loans, they go for IPO. And then company dia dah sangat bagus, dah stable, and they want to enhance the credibility and also reputation. they go for public listing. Why kita kata reputation? Kita dah tengok tadi kan, the listing requirements untuk bursa ni macam mana kan? You kena ada profit sampai 5 tahun, you kena ada lebih daripada berapa juta the profit, whatever. So whatever company yang go listed on the main market or ACE market ni, we can say that they are a high reputation company because they are able to meet strict requirements of the listing criteria tu. Very strict tadi kan, ada quantitative, ada qualitative, ada foreign punya additional punya criteria. So bila dia boleh get listed, which means they are already meeting the strict requirements. So it can enhance their credibility and reputation. To be able to set a more professionally managed corporation. Okay, daripada sendirian berhad, kadang-kadang nak beranaknya business kan, family owned business, and then when they go public, they can be more professionally managed. Because in terms of, for example, in terms of reporting, they have to prepare annual reports. There are certain standards that they have to follow. And then properly organized lah. Kalau tak sebelum ni mungkin organisation tu agak haru biru, and then when they go public, they are properly organized and obtain easier funds for future expansion. So point ni sama macam atas lah untuk business expansion. Alright, in the process of IPO, the most important institution is the investment bank. Okay, investment bank, bukan commercial bank. Commercial bank yang you all buat presentation tu, the commercial bank ni dia retail, investment bank ni dia lebih kepada corporate. So the process nak pergi ke IPO ni, it is not easy. They will have, first of all, they have to have approval from their existing shareholder. Tadi sendirian berhad kan, family owned ada 20 orang. Okay, bincang, approve. Okay, jom, let's go public. Kalau tak ada approval, then cannot lah. And then, bila dah dapat approval from the shareholder, they can go to auditor and also the lawyer. Alright, to verify all the documents. All the documents must be in place in order for them to go for IPO. And okay, dah ada document and everything apa semua, then they go to investment bank untuk dapatkan advice untuk the process of listing to how to do it. They have to go to investment bank. So this investment bank will provide advisory role on any major financial transaction and specializes in advising firms on new issues of securities. So in this case, what this investment bank does is that they actually advise, okay, alright, company XYZ, this is what you should offer. You should offer ordinary share. Ordinary share, par value RM1 or par value 50 cents contohnya. The pricing, so they will help. The timing, okay, sekarang hujung tahun tak bagus, kita issue tahun depan, awal tahun. So these are actually the advice provided by the investment bank, right? Through what we call a prospectus, which is a brochure. So like I said just now, the brochure ni, ataupun the prospectus, of course lah, because we don't know the company kan. Kita nak invest dalam that particular company, we want to know what type of business they are doing. Okay, business apa, construction ke, consumer ke, industry ke, shipping ke, gambling ke, so we want to know. And then the type of new issue, the issue apa, preference share ke, ordinary share ke. And then kita nak tahu tak management dia siapa, tiba-tiba ada gangster yang terkenal, dia run the company kan. So we do not want to engage in any controversial company contohnya. Or we want to see what are their vision, mission, kita nak tengok juga. We want to look at their financial statements. They must have a very good track record dalam dia punya prospectus in order to convince the investor to invest in their company. And also we want to look at the annual reports juga. Kita nak tengok the performance of the company before the public can actually invest. So the function, one of the function of investment bank ni tadi selain daripada bagi advice, right? So dia bagi advisory role. Number 2, dia buat underwriting function. Underwriting, or we call them as underwriter. Apa maksud underwriter tu? Okay, underwriter ni contohnya dia katakan orang ni pergi dekat CIMB Investment Bank, dia pergi dan dia get advice. Not only they get the advice, normally this CIMB ni apa dia buat ialah dia beli dulu semua share ni yang nak offer by the XYZ company tadi ni. Dia beli dulu. And then they resell at an agreed price. Which means XYZ company ni tak adalah masalah share dia tak terjual. Sebab apa? Sebab the investment bank already bought the share. Dia beli dan dijual balik. So the company dia dah dapat duit awal lah. Tapi the bank ni jual at an agreed price, adalah certain profit untuk bank tu pula nanti. Itu cerita lain lah. But the process is called underwriting. Dia beli dulu and dia jual. So tak ada burden untuk not being able to sell or share ni, tak ada burden lah dekat the issuer tu, company XYZ tadi. Teman-teman baru nak list, saya bagi nama dia XYZ je. Alright, next let's look at the risk of investing in the stock market. So kita ada 6 types of risk and business risk: financial risk, purchasing power risk, liquidity risk, interest rate risk, and also market risk. Alright, the first one is business risk. Alright, looking at the name pun kita dah boleh agak. So when we talk about business risk, we are talking about the nature of the business. So different industry may have different level of risk. For example, now during this pandemic ni, kita kata before kita open up the economy, yang paling high risk yang kita tengok banyak tutup is actually the tourism and hotel industry kan. Banyak hotel tutup. So the nature of the business during this time, the business is not good. But for Top Glove, for example, masa mula-mula semua orang nak pakai mask, nak pakai PPE tu, so the share price dia memang sangat tinggi lah, because why? People are looking for that kind of product. So the share price dia naik. So the nature of the business during that pandemic tu is actually good for them, but not good for certain industry, but good for them. So untuk airlines company teruk, untuk hotel tourism teruk, but untuk health, untuk food, itu semua harga naik. And then after yang sibuk dengan glove, dengan mask, dengan PPE, and then after that, after a while, vaksin pula kan. So health company yang produce vaksin ni, okay, share price dia pun sangat tinggi sebab dia break the news, dia kata, okay, we are actually experimenting or trying to come up with new vaccine. So itu harga saham untuk dia ni masa tu naik. But now kita nampak when it is quite stable and then the price is stable lah. Okay, looking at the nature of the business. So again, different industry may have different level of risk. Tapi macam food tak ada risk lah kan, semua orang nak makan kan, biskut semua orang nak makan, nasi semua orang nak makan. Financial risk, alright, so financial risk is regarding the finance and borrowing of the company. Risk of high level of financing. Okay, kalau hutang banyak pun there would be a financial risk lah, unable to pay back the debt. Purchasing power risk, okay, this is regarding the purchasing power whereby it is related to inflation, right? Kita boleh kata when the price level is high, the purchasing power is low. Harga barang tinggi, orang kurang nak beli kan. Harga barang rendah, orang pun banyak beli. And then bila kita tengok awal-awal the pandemic, our government bagi macam-macam bentuk bantuan tu. And then since kita semua tak boleh keluar daripada Malaysia, semua duduk kat dalam Malaysia, dia bagi a lot of bantuan because they want the people to spend. Bila kita spend, duit kita circulate dekat dalam country juga, so kita boleh manage the inflation. So anda nampak je Bashir bagi bantuan je kan. The purpose of that bantuan is actually for you to spend, bukan to simpan, to spend. Ambil duit EPF ke apa, so actually to spend. When you spend, so dia boleh regulate balik the economy. To regulate lah, especially the inflation. And also the ringgit lah. Kita dah tengok foreign exchange kan last week. Okay. Liquidity. Okay, liquidity risk ni, risk that stock may not be able to be converted into cash at a reasonable price. Okay. The more convenient it is to be liquidated, the higher is the liquidity risk. So some stocks ni not being able to be converted at a reasonable price. So that is a risk juga dekat stock tu. Interest rate risk, chance that the changes in interest rate will adversely affect the value of securities. Macam baru ni last month, Bank Negara announce OPR masih lagi sama, maintain at 1.5. So mungkin tak ada changes sangat, and then it will not really affect the value of the security. Okay, and market risk. Okay, variability of returns in the market as a whole and as a result of a number of risks combined, such as inflation, interest rate, tax risk. So itu ialah market risk lah. And also again to political situation, social events, economic and changes in investors' taste and preferences. Okay, dulu orang suka ni, lepas tu orang tak suka. So those are the market risk. Any questions tak so far? Ini kita baru tengok stock market. Tak ada okay Okay, sikit lagi saya continue. So next, let's look at common stock ataupun ordinary shares. Tadi kita tengok dekat bursa kan, dia kata dekat Malaysia ni kita ada issue of ordinary shares and preference shares, but also called as stock. So samalah. Okay. Instrument that represent ownership in the company that issue the stock. So you nak beli saham Top Glove, nak beli saham Petronas. So the stockholder has a claim on the earnings and assets of the corporation and also entitled to any incremental profits of the company. Alright, advantages and disadvantages of common stock. Variety of choices and liquidity. Ada banyak boleh pilih. Nak beli saham apa? Pilihlah. Go to Bursa, tengoklah senarai. Easy to trade and low transaction cost. Okay, voting and preemptive right and also high returns. Okay, advantage dia. Kita kata return voting and preemptive rights ni maksudnya you will be called for annual general meeting, the AGM tu, and you have the right to vote on major decision. Preemptive right ni is the right. Let's say kita dah ada saham Petronas, bila Petronas nak share lagi share dia, they come to us first. Sebab kita dah the existing shareholder. So we have the rights. We call it as preemptive right to obtain specific number of shares. Easy to trade, very easy. Find a stockbroker. Nowadays you don't need to find a stockbroker pun. But you have to register with the bank lah. So kena buka trading account and CDS account. And then you are ready to trade. So macam saya punya trade, saya guna phone je. So you macam ni lah. First of all, you buka CDS account, link to your trading account. Macam saya pakai Maybank, you have trading account dekat Maybank, you ada CDS account. And then kita ada Maybank Trade punya apps. So pilihlah dekat dalam tu which company yang you nak invest. Contohnya saya tunjuk dekat sini sikit lah. That's why I said nowadays very easy to trade. Tengok. Alright, Bursa, they also have Bursa Marketplace Screener. Dia panggil Screener. So this is Bursa Marketplace. We have the Screener. So dekat sini, alright, let's say kita nak screen stocks. Warrants kita tak buat lagi. Let's say you want to buy. You want to see apa stok yang sekarang ni sesuai untuk kita beli. So if you have all the knowledge, so you can letak dekat sini. You nak share price berapa? RM1 ke RM1 je ke? Price earning ratio, you nak yang tinggi ke, yang rendah ke, yang sangat tinggi ke. Alright, so let's say you have no idea apa benda ni, tak tahulah kan, tapi you nak beli. Alright, so pilih je all industry ataupun nak industri, I don't know, whatever industry you nak, katakan you nak healthcare sahaja contohnya. Tapi ada satu match je tak best lah, kita go for all lah. Okay, all, and then ada 46 matches, show results. Inilah the price ataupun the company that you can beli. Ini yang disenarai kat kita. Alam Maritime, Boiler Mac, Posted Plantation, Dayang. Tapi yang ni dia tak screen syariah. Kalau dekat phone you can, saya tak sure kenapa dekat sini tak boleh screen syariah. Kejap kita pergi advance. Alah, kena sign in. Mungkin if you go, if you sign in you can pilih. Sebab kalau ikut dekat phone, you can choose you nak yang syariah compliance sahaja, which mean dia akan tolak lah all the company-company yang non-syariah ni. So the screening is done here, and then I show you dia ada cerita pasal analisis tak dekat sini, belum lagi. And then the price sebab tadi kita tengok the index kita tengok the index, and then we also want to know how do actually the company ni come up dia punya price dia lah macam mana the price to fluctuates tu. Because when we talk about trading and also the company ni, the analyst akan buat dipanggil sebagai fundamental and technical analysis. So mana? Sini. Okay. So this is the trading view. Chart dia nampak macam pening sikit lah. But here you can actually choose company apa yang you nak monitor. Okay. So this is the chart. So ni dia punya line the breaks dia. Kalau dia lebih daripada breaks ni maknanya dia tengah perform well lah, dia tengah naik. Contohnya tadi kita tengok boiler tadi kan. Okay, let's say nak tengok harga dia sekarang macam ni. Ini ialah harga untuk hari ni. Market baru buka 1 jam lebih Market open at 9, close at 5. So you want to know anything about this company, ni free je. Kalau you nak yang canggih sikit kena subscribe lah. Yang saya punya ni yang free je, tak ada apa. So this is the free, you go to trading view. Klik lah company mana you want to monitor. And then you go down here, nampak dia bagi kita suggestion. This is the technical analysis dia. So nampak dia bergerak because market tengah open, harga tengah naik turun. So sekarang ni if you own boiler ni, it's better for you to sell. Cari nampak. Dia sell tapi nak pergi ke neutral, nampak dia bergerak kan. Focus point semua pun tahu is the eye care punya business. Lagi teruk, strong sell, maknanya harga dia sangat jatuh dah ni. So you better sell je, nampak dia turun entah mana-mana pergi kan. 3A buy. So nampak the recommendation dia tu is sell, buy, strong sell and also strong buy. So this is the ini semua macam yang trading view ni bukan dari bursa lah. Trading view ni memang ada website dia. Kalau bursa tadi pun kita ada bursa screener tadi tu that you can screen untuk pilih mana share yang bagus, mana yang tak bagus. Okay, sedikit sajalah sharing dengan you all untuk the trading tu because we're talking about the common stock kan. So this is the stock yang kita tengah trade dekat bursa sekarang. Easy to trade, okay, very easy. Cost of transaction are stamp duties, brokerage fees and clearing fees are relatively reasonable. That is why when you want to trade, let's say satu hari ni you nak buat 2-3 transaction, satu transaction tu dia charge adalah RM10 macam tu But if you want to buy, go by volume lah. Nanti kan beli yang harga murah 2 sen, 3 sen tapi beli sikit, you cost beli sikit but your kita panggil transaction cost lagi tinggi daripada harga yang you beli tu. So kena belajar sikit lah, dari sebab sometimes you need a broker to teach ataupun some dia memang dia draft sendiri dia dah boleh faham then dia dah boleh buat And then to nak buka account pun very easy, you need minimum of RM500 je dalam trading account ni. Nak buka kena ada 500. Lepas tu trade lah suka hati. Tapi 500 sebenarnya tak boleh beli apa sangat kot. Alright, so variety of choices. Macam tadi kan kita tengok dekat bursa tadi, kita pilih-pilih lah nak beli, nak jual, nak yang harga macam mana. So many choices of shares, many level of risk. Liquidity can be matched especially during strong market where volume is high. Let's say you want to sell kan, letak je certain price nak sell. Kalau meet the price, ada buyer, then terus jual. High return, dia volatile. Sometimes you beli hari ni, jual besok, you dah boleh dapat untung RM100. Tapi sometimes beli hari ni, besok dah boleh rugi RM100. Depending on the price yang naik turun tadi tu. Disadvantages, okay, tadi advantage high return. Disadvantage fluctuation lah. Tadi you all pun tengok kan macam mana dia pergi daripada buy, pergi neutral, pergi sell harga dia naik turun ikut dia punya apa tu tadi tu, breaks tadi tu And then lower current income, some company may declare dividend, some may not declare at all. But yang tak perform well And determining the intrinsic value pun susah lah. Difficult to predict the expected future earnings. Kita tak tahu kan company tu nanti future dia macam mana, bagus ke tak bagus ke Alright, saya ingat untuk hari ni I will stop here. Ada soalan tak? Next week kita sambung types of common stock. So maybe you pernah dengar blue chips. Kita tengok esok pula next week What are blue chip stock? What are growth stocks So we have different types of common stock yang kita categorizekan lah. Kalau tadi kita dah tengok in detail semua total. So next week kita akan tengok the different types lah yang kita boleh categorizekan. Okay, ada soalan tak? I have prepared for you a quiz, foreign exchange quiz that will be available today and that will be available until next Thursday, sorry. Saya bagi seminggu lah sampai hari Khamis depan So you can try and once you buka you get 20 minutes lah to answer Kita kena buat I think satu lagi quiz boleh kot sebab nanti SMBU kita nak tutup so it won't be available daripada 27 November sampai 3 Disember. Saya takut nanti my guru pun affected. Walaupun dia kata my guru not affected but I'm still afraid kot dia affected nanti. But for now until next Thursday you can still try the forex quiz and minggu ni dah minggu ke-5. Next week minggu 6 I think we will do our midterm exam dalam minggu ke-8 ke. Tengoklah I'll let you know later. Alright, ada soalan tak?
So far tak ada, madam.
Tak ada alright. Kalau tak ada itu sahaja. Saya pun dah rasa pening-pening nak pergi tidur ke apa ni.
Makan ubat.
Alright, kalau apa dia?
Makan ubat doktor.
Makan ubat, itulah. So kalau tak ada apa-apa, that's all for today. Jangan lupa buat quiz I'll upload
Doktor.
later. Alright, thank you.
Thank you, doktor.
Doktor, take care.
Thank you. Alright, thank you.
Okay, doktor.
Sakit lagi dia kena tidur. Okay, alright, thank you. Bye-bye.